Hello and welcome to another Top 10 show here at the Football Republic. My name's Anthony Richardson and I'm afraid to say I've got some very sad news indeed. It's been brought to my attention by the Football Republic that they take your YouTube comments and your complaints very strongly indeed. They've read everything you've said and it's been flagged up to me that you guys want me sacked and never to grace my presence on this channel ever again. Football Republic have agreed with that and they said that this could be my last ever show, contrary to the wishes of myself, my wife, my unborn child, my 3 cats. I've got 2 rabbits as well. I support a lot of people with these finances, but fair enough. They said that if this episode gets 4,000 likes, then I am to clear my desk and get out of this building. I don't even have a desk. I'd have to buy a desk from Argos, bring it into the building. We're on the 3rd floor here. Install it in an office I rarely see, clear it, and then take it back out with me whence I came. It's a sad day for me, but I respect your views and I respect the will of the people, the referendum that is clearly taking place. And I will try and continue the enthusiasm that I take to this Top 10 show. I know it will be hard with the darkness inside my heart right now. This week saw more monumental cluster bollocks in the shape of video-assisted refereeing. If you don't know what VAR is, allow me to explain. It's FIFA's new way of screwing over teams now that they're not allowed to take their actual money. The VAR system is football's equivalent of one of those clown cars piled with clowns, except the clown car is a video replay of an event that really should be cleared up by using the video replay, and the clowns are the referees who are also clowns. The wrong person being sent off, even though that shouldn't even be physically possible, and a yellow card offence for the deepest, readiest, throbbing vein on a penis coloured red card offence. Yes, even with this new technology, teams are getting robbed. But are these robberies up there with the greatest robberies of all time? Not even close. Here are the top 10 greatest robberies of all time. At 10, the non-goal that forced FIFA to finally clean out their dusty old vaginas and embrace technology. And by new technology, I don't mean the £10,000 Hublot watches that disappeared near FIFA HQ or the £16,000 Parmigiani watches that were given to FIFA officials by the Brazilian Football Federation. No, that is a literal embracing of technology. I'm talking metaphorically. Cast your minds back to the 2010 World Cup, a tournament with a jabalani, a ball which was about as useful as one of those plastic ones you get outside a petrol station. The vuvuzela, a musical instrument which made every single game sound like a game of Laser Quest outside a hornet's nest. And the worst England team of all time, apart from the one 4 years after that. England managed to scrape through the group despite having a goalkeeper made of Teflon and meeting their tactical match in Algeria, at which point they got to meet Germany. England versus Germany. Even in 2010 we thought we had a chance. How deluded were we? It's like your Uncle Graham who still wears a Bluetooth headset saying he's going on a date, and you look at the picture of the date he's going with it and it's clearly a spam bot. But you don't want to tell your Uncle Graham because he's alone and he's almost dying because he's so lonely and his house smells of wood lice. In the 39th minute, England were 2-1 down when Frank Lampard drove a ball from the edge of the box and it clipped the underside of the bar, bounced in the goal and went out like Tony Yeboah, but not as classy. Anyway, the officials didn't see it. That could have made the score 2-2. With the score at 2-2, who knows what could have happened? Who knows? Bollocks, who knows? We'd have lost 4-2. The England squad that year contained Stephen Warnock. We were going to do all that tournament. Lampard's ghost goal remains the second biggest robbery of the 2010 World Cup, second only to James Corden's World Cup Live, a show in which the affable TV host managed to rob the nation of 2 hours of their television every night, despite knowing the square root of all about football. At 9, more terrible officiating. And you think you've seen referees think it's all about them. This next piece of referee look at meary would make Mike Dean wake up in a puddle of his own jizz. This is an absolute disgrace. The 1978 World Cup. It's Brazil versus Sweden in the group stages. It's 1-1. The time is 90 minutes. Well, 89 minutes and 59 seconds. Brazil get a corner. By that point, it's 90 minutes and 1 second. Brazil put in the corner and they score from it. By that time, it's 90 minutes and 8 seconds. Clive Thomas, the Welsh referee, blows up 1 second before the ball's put in the back of the net and blows up for full time. Why Clive Thomas? Well, because it's stoppage time. The stoppage time has elapsed. We've gone over 90 minutes. We're going to stop right there. Are you kidding me? What are you doing? Why did you award the corner in the first place, Clive Thomas? Brazil would say this, but remarkably, they actually kept quite calm about it. This was a time when British people were respected by foreigners the world over. We didn't have what we have today, where we're basically a laughingstock. They were such magical times. At 8, a very different type of robbery. Now, footballers tend to be financially very well off. That's unless they piss it all away, betting on or against their own team, a la Joey Barton. For the teams Joey Barton played for, I'm very surprised he bet on his own team. He must have been very troubled, very addicted. It's sad what happens to some people's minds. Fortunately, also, footballers have very publicised times when they're away from their homes. For example, playing international football or playing midweek in the Champions League. For Man United and Arsenal, that alternates between Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays, depending on the season. And sadly, many players' homes have been targeted, like Steven Gerrard, Ian Wright and Andy Carroll. Some of those times, the players have been in their own house. I mean, with Andy Carroll, it's rarely that he's not in his own house with all the injuries he gets. You've got to be a pretty stupid burglar to target that house. A particularly bad example was former Charlton defender Mark Fish, whose house was seen on MTV Cribs. The robbers saw that and then broke in, knowing where the address was. The nation was shocked. Why the is Mark Fish on MTV Cribs? That show has really scraped the barrel, they said. And then the next thing they said was, who's Mark Fish? A more light-hearted take on the robbery genre at 7. In 2008, 2 builders from Merseyside claimed they'd put a Liverpool scarf, a Liverpool programme and a Liverpool fanzine in some sort of Scouse time capsule, like probably a rubber tube, and buried it under Gary Neville's swimming pool. Gary Neville still gets taunted about this to this day, and to say he's a bit miffed is an understatement. The fact that he sold that house about 3 years later is probably not a coincidence. In fact, Gary Neville, when asked about this whole debacle, said this: "I'm going to put it in my will that if anybody ever finds that bloody scarf, they must follow my final wish and burn it." But none of these are the most famous football robbery of all time. And at number 6, we go back to an altogether more innocent time. The World Cup in 1966, when fans waved Union Jacks. That's before Rangers took that flag. When men were men, and goals that didn't cross the line did count because it was England that did them, and it was against Germany, who were evil, and they didn't deserve it because they'd done a war. But the 1966 World Cup almost never happened because the Jules Rimet trophy was stolen. The police looked far and wide. There were only 7 police back in those days, which is about as many as there are now under the current Conservative government. They looked up trees, they looked in haystacks, but they couldn't find that bloody trophy at all. But then, thankfully, a dog named Pickles discovered it under a bush. Pickles' owner was delighted and couldn't wait to return the trophy to its rightful owners. F***'s sake, Pickles, you grassing snake. I was going to melt that trophy down to get my heroin. But no, dogs love sniffing under bushes. They're so brilliant. Then, in 1983, the trophy was stolen again, this time in Brazil. The Brazilian detective knew what to do straight away. "Get me England," he said. "I need Pickles." "But Pickles is dead," came the reply. "I don't care, just get him here." Pickles' decaying corpse could not find the trophy a second time. Good. Deserved, the grassing bastard. Next! At 5, Graham Taylor, a wonderful character and a brilliant footballing man. That's what the journalist said after he died. If only they'd said a few more nice things about him when he was alive. And this robbery again centres on the England national team. You'll notice that England get robbed very often. Graham Taylor was ready to take USA 94 by storm, but unfortunately couldn't because Ronald Koeman was given a yellow for a definite red. If only video-assisted refereeing had existed back then, he'd have still got a yellow. Koeman then went up the other end and scored a brilliant free kick, denying England a trip to America. Did Graham Taylor not like that? Part of the reason he failed at the highest level was his inability to construct a sentence properly. Very sad. In at 4, when Ireland were cheated by robbing cheating bastard Thierry Henry. Thierry Henry didn't do much cheating in his long and illustrious career, preferring instead to save it up for one big mega cheat. We've gone over this at length in a previous episode of whatever this godforsaken Top 10 show is called, but it's still one of the biggest robberies in world football. The Football Association of Ireland were furious until they got given money by FIFA not to be furious. Ah, what a happy ending. Sometimes bribery is good. Into the podium places now, and this is called the Disgrace of Gijón. What a stupid name for a town. Gijón. Sounds like a clown coughing. Here's a bit of trivia for you. Why are the last group games in a tournament all played simultaneously? Well, the answer's bleeding obvious, so one game can't influence the other. But before 1982, FIFA hadn't actually thought of that. Spain 82, what a tournament! The mascot was brilliant. It was this giant orange-shaped boy with tiny legs, like some child with elephantiasis made to hold a football in front of some cruel circus. That poor kid. He's probably never seen his own penis. Algeria, later tactical rivals of England, were playing at their first ever major tournament and managed to beat West Germany, that's the good non-steroidy Germany, and reached the pinnacle of making the knockout stages. This was the first time an African team had ever beaten a European team in a World Cup, and they were on the verge of making history, progressing past the group. Sadly for them, Austria were playing Germany in the final group stage, and they realised between them that all that needed to happen for Austria and Germany to qualify was for Germany to beat Austria 1-0. Guess what? That's exactly what happened. Germany scored in the 10th minute, and then both teams made about as much effort on goal as a Tony Pulis side after reaching 40 points in the Premier League. It was such a dire spectacle to watch, Spanish newspaper El Comercio printed the match report in its crime section. But some good came of the game. Both teams' tactics inspired Louis van Gaal's Manchester United. When was the last time you saw an attacker decapitated by a goalkeeper, putting him in a short coma and the referee only awarding a goal kick? Okay, apart from in teams managed by Neil Warnock. France versus West Germany, and Patrick Battiston is through on goal. The only person to beat is goalkeeper Harold Schumacher, who, let's be honest, sounds like he keeps kids in his basement. Schumacher misses the ball with an attempted clearance and cleans out Battiston instead, basically hipping him in the face, knocking out 3 of his teeth, putting him unconscious and dislodging some of his vertebrae. Michel Platini was playing on that occasion. He went up to Patrick Battiston and he said later that he thought Battiston was dead. About as dead as Michel Platini's chances of being next FIFA president. The referee, of course, awarded a goal kick, and of course, Germany won on penalties. If that had been a foul and a red card, maybe Germany would nowadays be shit at penalties because they hadn't practiced so much. And that leaves us with number 1 on our list, and the funniest robbery of all time. It's a disgrace. Yep, Didier Drogba and John Terry were apoplectic when that one night of refereeing went against them in their entire careers at Chelsea. The Blues were hoping for a place in the Champions League final, but one man stood in their way, Tom Henning of Vrebo. This was 2009, back when England were used to having teams in the business end of the Champions League. Not like nowadays when Arsenal get tonked by Bayern Munich and claim it's a victory for revenue. No, back then there were rumours of a conspiracy that UEFA didn't want another all-English final. They wanted Barcelona to progress, which is basically what they want nowadays. And so they assigned to referee the match Al Murray, aka the pub landlord. Vrebo ruled out 6 or 7 clear penalties. Well, that was according to John Terry, so we'll scale it back to 3 or 4, with even Gerard Piqué admitting that one of them should definitely have been given. It remains to this day the biggest football robbery of all time, and even to this day, Tom Henning of Vrebo still gets abuse online. Let's read out a few of them, shall we? I hate you. Who TF is this muggy prick? Your voice makes me want to stab you. This presenter is And why do people like this twat? He's a walking, talking advertisement for autism. Oh no, that wasn't abuse for Vrebo. That was just the comments under last week's episode of this show. Right, if I've missed any daylight robberies of football teams, please put them in the comments section below. Remember to like this video and subscribe and all of that shit. I will see you again